Hi, my name is Derrick Mangas. I work at the Marine Corps Installations East, Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune Safety Department. Today we're going to talk about some ways to keep the children that have been left in your care safe that are within your home. Today we're going to cover some of the requirements out of the Marine Corps order to ensure your in-home child care facility remains in compliance. Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune has between 20 and 30 in-home child care centers at any given time. The FCC director will inspect monthly, and the fire department, safety department, and preventative medicine will inspect annually. During this video, we're going to discuss some of the checklisted items that the safety inspector will look for during his in-home inspection. Let's go ahead and get started. One of the first things I look for when I walk into a home is to make sure that they have some type of mat, because the hazard of a wet floor can cause a parent or child to slip if they do not see the water. So it's a good idea to keep the mat near the front door so they can wipe their feet. One of the items I'm going to be looking for is a first aid kit. It doesn't need to be fancy, just a typical box. It's got your typical basic first aid items in, as well as a thermometer, latex or vinyl gloves, and a flashlight. First we're going to talk about the thermometer. The thermometers that you must have in your first aid kit must be digital or mercury free. Another item that's required to be in the first aid kit is a working flashlight. You need to have these just in case of a power outage to be able to see. We prefer to have the D-cell battery flashlights, but they're also not required. Another item we look for in the first aid kits are the vinyl or latex gloves. This is to prevent the spread of germs and diseases through bloodborne pathogens. I'm also going to be looking for any unused or uncovered outlets that may pose a potential hazard to the children. Children are very curious. They'll stick anything from fingers to toys in the outlets if they're not protected. In the playroom areas, ensure that the children have age-appropriate toys. Groups with mixed-age children, ensure that the toys with small pieces are cleaned and out of the reach of the infants and toddlers. A good rule of thumb to go by is, if the toy fits in a shot glass, it is too small and may become a choke hazard. Ensure that the toys are not broken and disinfected frequently. Most homes aboard Camp Lejeune have vertical blinds throughout the homes, but in the event you have horizontal blinds with cords, ensure that the cords have been cut and not looped and shortened so the children cannot reach them. All stairways must have baby gates leading to any elevated surface within the home. Not to mention, children are not allowed to be upstairs for any reason. In the living room areas, around the entertainment centers and TVs, ensure that the cords, cables, and wires are tucked neatly behind the entertainment center and the television, so they're not out so children can grab them, tug on them, and pull them, such as these. Another important thing to remember is that bouncers, swings, and walkers are not authorized for daycare use. Even if they're for your own children, they must be out of sight while daycare children are present. Whenever I walk into a kitchen in a safety inspection, one of the first things I do is I turn the water on. The reason I'm checking the water temperature to make sure it's at the appropriate levels. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on and let it warm up. While I'm waiting for the water to warm up, I'm going to come over to the lower cabinets and I'm going to check to make sure that they're all properly secured, which these all appear to be. Some of the things I'm going to be looking for are to make sure that all of them catch, and looking inside to make sure there's no scissors, pencils, or anything sharp that may be a hazard to a child. This one here has been loose and needs to be replaced. Now that our water's been heated up, I'm going to take my thermometer and test the water and make sure it does not exceed 110 degrees. If your water temperature exceeds 110 degrees Fahrenheit, contact your maintenance office and they can come adjust your water heater accordingly. Knives are not allowed to be on the kitchen counters. They need to be in a knife block and left in an upper cabinet, or taken out of a knife block and placed in a plastic container such as this on top of the refrigerator and out of the reach of children. Now moving on to the countertops. Next thing I'm going to be looking for are the coffee pots, blenders, toaster ovens, microwaves, and making sure that the cords are all pulled back and out of the reach of children. Now that I've checked to make sure all the cords are pushed behind the appliances, I'm going to move up here to the Gfci Outlets. I'm going to go ahead and give them a test and make sure that they trip and the light turns off. Turn it back on and plug the appliance back in. The last thing in the kitchen I'm going to be looking for is to make sure that you don't have any household cleaners or any other chemical agents underneath your sink or on top of your sink. Now, dish soap is allowed to be out as long as it is out of the reach of children and set up high. Cleaning items such as bleach, Lysol, and Windex all need to be kept in a locked storage area. In areas of the home where there's hardwood floors with area rugs, it's always good to make sure you have your furniture placed on top to ensure that the carpet doesn't slide and prevent a slip hazard. Another thing to remember about the area rugs is to make sure that all the corners are flat on the ground and make sure they're not curled up around the sides, creating another trip hazard. Moving on to the hallway. As you can see, the bifold doors also have locks as well, which are always good to have. Laundry rooms or closets such as this that lock are great places to store your chemical agents. Ensure that the rooms that are not being utilized for child care are inaccessible with the child protective coverings over the handles. Moving on to the bathroom. You must be able to access the bathroom within 1 minute in the event a child becomes locked in. Having a key nearby will give you that accessibility. Now here in the bathroom, it's similar to the kitchen. You want to ensure that the cabinets are secured with the latches and ensure that no hazardous chemicals are being stored in here. This also includes the medicine cabinet. Items such as razor blades, mouthwash, and perfumes should all be kept in a separate locked bathroom. Please try and limit the items to just a hairbrush, toothbrush, and toothpaste. When I get outside, what I'm going to be looking for are the walking surfaces on the ground. I'm going to be looking for deep holes or tree stumps or anything that may be protruding on the ground. Whenever I'm in the backyard, I'm going to be checking for hornet's nest or bee's nest, usually up underneath the soffit area. And then I also check the grounds for ant hills or anything else that could sting or bite. Just remember, swing sets, pools, and trampolines are not authorized in your in-home daycare center. If you as a provider or any of your parents have any questions on car seat installations, please stop by your local safety department or local fire department and they'll be glad to assist.